Chapter 2315 Interstellar Migration 1. According to Zhang Yi and his team's investigation, cracks have appeared on the moon for half a year. It's just that people forgot to look up at the stars, so it didn't attract much attention. During that period, countries around the world were busy. The Junjing Church organized the Devil's Eye operation. The Knights of the Round Table went to Atlantis, and the 8 tribes of Bharata entered the trial of the Triumvirate. On the Fremon side, led by Morana, they headed to the Arctic Ocean to search for the remains of the lost civilization. To this day, after the changes in the moon were discovered, all major forces are observing its changes every day. Although the moon has cracks, it still hangs high in the sky every day, illuminating the world. It seems that there will be no more changes, but people still feel uneasy. Zhang Yi is waiting for the reaction of other forces in the world. After all, this is not an individual problem, but one that all human beings in the world need to solve. That day, he found Professor Da Vinci. After returning from the Wulwan Empire, Professor Da Vinci devoted himself to the research of the Wulwan Empire without sleep or food, including the various biological fragments he obtained, as well as the cultural and historical information of the Wulwan Empire obtained from the database. These things drove him completely crazy, and he locked himself in the villa and didn't even attend the banquet that day. When Zhang Yi arrived here, he saw the house shaking slightly from a distance. He thought about it, went to the door and knocked. "Who is it?" "I'm busy." The house stopped shaking, and Brian's unhappy voice came from the second floor. "It's me, Chaos." "Oh, damn. It's my dear brother here." After a while, Brian came over to open the door wrapped in a bath towel, and you could see that he was sweating profusely. Zhang Yi looked at it expressionlessly. "Hey, don't look at me like that. I was just, working out." Zhang Yi waved his hand. "Whatever you say. After all, localized exercise is still exercise. I'm looking for Professor Da Vinci. Is he here?" Upon hearing this, Brian raised his thumb and said, "It's in the lab at the back." Zhang Yi asked Brian to go over and knock on the door. The man and the dog had a passionate argument for a while, and then Professor Da Vinci let Zhang Yi in. His laboratory was already filled with all kinds of messy things. Many huge glass jars contained complex cell tissues. Zhang Yi felt a chill run down his spine. "Are you planning to combine lizard men and humans to create a freak?" Professor Da Vinci said, "You're overthinking it. We've done this kind of biological experiment many times, and it turns out this evolutionary approach doesn't work. The creatures created by the Creator are already perfect. I'm just extracting fragments of their genes and trying to compile them into human genes to create more powerful mutants." Zhang Yi gave a thumbs up. Awesome. He didn't waste any words and directly stated his purpose. First, he told him about the changes in the moon and then asked directly, "Do you know about this? I mean, the Columbia executives?" Many years ago, many wealthy people in Colombia began to build Doomsday shelters. Even today, human survival bases have been built on Mars. More than a decade ago, a crazy entrepreneur named Elon Freeman spent almost all of his fortune to invite 300 volunteers from all over the world to go to Mars to build a human survival base. This incident caused a huge sensation around the world at that time. Because of this operation, the investment exceeded $100 billion, and the 300 people were all experts in various fields. However, there was less and less follow-up news about this operation later on, and it was no longer seen in newspapers or news. People only roughly know that they successfully landed on Mars and actually built a survival base. To this day, it is unknown how the situation has developed and how many people are still alive. Zhang Yi therefore suspected that the Colombian high-level officials who had long been in contact with the underground civilization must have known something. Da Vinci raised his dead fish eyes and stared at Zhang Yi for a while before saying nonchalantly, "Humanity has long known that they will face a doomsday disaster. So, is it any wonder they would do anything to avoid extinction? I joined the Hitomi organization only out of curiosity and because I needed to obtain a lot of resources from them. But I did get some information about the apocalypse from them. An ice age is not the way to end human civilization. The day of the fall, that's right. So they speculated long ago that the real cause of the end of the world was a meteorite fall. And that guy, Elon Freeman, just decided to flee to Mars. Even that Mars base had the support of many members of the Hitomi organization. Otherwise, do you think the operation would have been so smooth if he relied on himself alone? After all, this is an extremely large project involving an incredibly complex number of people and institutions. It even requires the support of the highest levels of Colombian government. Zhang Yi understood this point. Elon Freeman once spent a lot of assets to support one of his own to become the chief of Freemans. Zhang Yi continued. So, what's the result? Have many of Colombia's top leaders decided to fly to Mars? Zhang Yi asked the question he wanted to ask most. On the day of the fall, the planet is not safe. But what about Mars? Can it replace this planet and become the birthplace of a new human civilization? According to the Ihan people, the center of the entire universe is the planet, and the universe is desolate and full of dangers. But the conditions on Mars are closest to those on a planet, and perhaps it can replace this planet and become a new habitat. Zhang Yi did have this idea in his mind. Now that we have underground survival bases, we have to consider space survival bases. Professor Da Vinci put down his work and spread his hands towards Zhang Yi. This kind of thing is not something I can know. After all, this is top-level confidentiality. But it seems that it is not going so smoothly at the moment. Zhang Yi raised his eyebrows. Oh, why do you say that? Humph, Professor Da Vinci snorted disdainfully, because if it were truly safe and suitable for human survival, those damned capitalists and politicians would have already spared no effort to immigrate there. Zhang Yi shrugged. You're right. The information Zhang Yi obtained from Professor Da Vinci was also uncertain. If even Mars is not suitable for human survival, there will be no other suitable place in the entire solar system. It seems that we must go to the moon, find out the truth behind the moon shattering, and solve this big problem. Zhang Yi thought helplessly. However, at the moment, in order to protect yourself, the most important thing is to strengthen yourself and the entire team. After returning victorious from the Wulwan Empire, most of the resources fell into Zhang Yi's personal alien space. The development of the underground world is in full swing. This superspace, located more than 20,000 meters underground, has been maintained by the people of the Wulwan Empire for countless years. The entire space is reinforced with very tough alloy materials. If a disaster of the magnitude of a lunar debris impact really occurs, it should not cause a devastating blow as long as it is not a head-on hit. Zhang Yi found Yang Xinxin and carefully planned the preparations for the disaster. The worst outcome is that they completely abandon everything on the surface and escape underground with as many people as possible. But the price is that from now on, they will probably not see the sun for a very long time, because volcanic ash will cover the entire sky and may last for hundreds of years. In addition, Luke Heron, Uncle Yu, Fatty Sue, and others also received the news and devoted themselves to strengthening the construction, prepare troops, and develop the mechanical army on a larger scale. Even when attacking the Wulwan Empire, due to insufficient resources, only 50,000 mechanical life forms were activated. However, after plundering the resources of the entire Wulwan Empire, the energy problem has now been completely solved. Luke Heron only needs to give a command to make those mechanical life forms replicate themselves. Within 2 months, Zhang Yi will be able to obtain a mechanical army of 200,000 troops. They can fight or serve as engineers to dig underground spaces. As for weapons, Ling fell into a deep sleep, and no one knows what she will look like when she wakes up. But Zhang Yi's demon armor also underwent another evolution. This time, Yang Xinxin gave the armor of the end she had seized to Luke Heron, asking her to integrate the materials and core energy into Zhang Yi's demon armor. The armor of the end, a forbidden item of the Wulwan Empire, is the ultimate creation that fused the power of technology and faith. Once it wakes up, it will possess combat power comparable to that of a black bishop. It is a treasure passed down from generation to generation by the royal family of the Wulwan Empire. It needs to be activated with the blood of the royal family and is the ultimate weapon hidden in the bottom of the box. It's a pity that before the current Emperor Ce had time to activate it, Yang Xinxin used his ability to control the person who controlled the Armor of the End. Otherwise, if the Armor of the End had been activated earlier, the situation on the battlefield would have been unpredictable. Seeing the terrifying giant battle armor, Lu Kuoran said in astonishment, "Are you crazy? This kind of thing is used to destroy nations. Isn't it too much to integrate it into my brother's demon armor?" Lu Kuoran said, "For me, it has no effect. But my brother needs to improve his strength." As she spoke, she looked at Zhao Mu beside her with gentle eyes. "After all, my brother is my sword, and I am his scabbard. As long as the sword is sharp enough, it's all I need. The scabbard needs to contain the sword." Yang Xinxin has never liked to fight in person. As a wise person, even though she has powerful supernatural talents, she hates to get her hands stained with blood. What she likes to do most is to train Zhang Yi to become stronger, which makes her feel very accomplished. Zhang Yi spread his hands and said, "Any improvement in strength is a plus. Besides, this thing has another very useful use." Zhang Yi looked at the Armor of the End. The ferocious and terrifying appearance of the giant beast made many images emerge in Zhang Yi's mind. The Undertaker of the Southwest region, Marshal Ken Shan of the Cage Kingdom. Zhang Yi did not dare to touch the power of faith easily, because it might bring disaster. But what if we use a different carrier? He walked up to the Armor of the End, reached out and gently touched the armor, and immediately felt an extremely strong murderous intent. Zhang Yi disagreed. He put his hand on it and quickly suppressed that self-consciousness. "I don't want to use the power of faith, but I can let it absorb it for me. In the entire Huashu kingdom, I am now like a god to ordinary people. Well, it would be a waste if this power weren't used. I'll just attach it to this armor." In fact, Zhang Yi was able to feel that kind of wish power a long time ago. When many people have a common wish in their hearts, a force called willpower will be formed. Zhang Yi understood that it was the modification of the real world by countless ether fragments. And when this power becomes a devout belief and a heartfelt belief in the power of a certain existence, it becomes the power of faith. Yang Xinxin naturally took over Zhang Yi's conversation. "I will arrange for the cooperation of the people in the 6 districts. The demon god armor will be used as a symbol of your image, brother, and will be spread to everyone in Huashu country. From today on, everyone will be told about your deeds and will regard you as the savior of Huashu country. Once these powers are concentrated on the armor, you will be able to use this power without having to bear the backlash of the power of faith." Lu Karen couldn't help but sigh. "Smart. It's a genius idea." Zhang Yi looked at Lu Karen. "Karen, how is it? Do you have the confidence to handle it?" Lu Karen moved his fingers and looked at the demon god armor hanging in front of him, as well as the huge and ferocious armor of the End. She nodded solemnly. "No problem. I can do it. After all, I'm not too far away from breaking through to the 30,000-point White Bishop level. Lu Karen's current ability index is as high as 25,000 points. During the War of Extermination, she personally hunted down a silver-armored general and killed a large number of elite soldiers of the Wulwan Empire, reaping a rich harvest. Not to mention that after the war, Zhang Yi allocated a large amount of resources to each person, all of which were obtained from the treasury of the Wulwan Empire. Her skills became more and more sophisticated, and she could even break down molecules from the air and create the substances she wanted. Zhang Yi pinched her soft and cute face and said with a smile, "I feel relieved with your words. From now on, everything will be left to you to handle." After Zhang Yi and Yang Xinxin left, Lu Karen no longer needed help. She had countless mechanical life form engineers around her who could complete all the processes for her. What she needs to do is to use her ability of non-existence transformation to disassemble and reassemble. Chapter 23:16 Interstellar Migration 2. Zhang Yi's team is growing at an extremely terrifying speed. The research results of Deng technology have fallen into Zhang Yi's hands. He also learned that humans could deceive the gods and obtain spiritual essence by cultivating embryos in large quantities. So soon, Zhang Yi built his own biological factory. He ran the factory himself and initially did not let Zhou Ke, who was proficient in this field, get involved, because he felt that Zhou Ke was a person with high moral qualities and should not accept this method of obtaining ether fragments. But later, after hearing the news, Zhou Ke volunteered to be responsible for the biofactory project. When humanity is on the brink of extinction, the most important thing is survival. Moral and ethical issues need to be considered on the basis of survival. After following Zhang Yi for a long time, Zhou Ke's mentality has changed. Zhang Yi nodded. The biological factory and the centipede farm are now your responsibility. Let the frog assist you. It's already a semi-expert now. Only Zhang Yi hesitated to speak, with a look of confusion in his eyes. Seeing this, Zhou Ke hurriedly and gently walked over and hugged Zhang Yi's arm. Her tenderness made Zhang Yi feel warm and comfortable. What's wrong? Are you under too much pressure recently? Do you want to take a good rest for a while? We can take care of other things anyway. Zhang Yi shook his head and chuckled. I'm just a little confused. Confused? Zhou Ke blinked her beautiful big eyes, and her pretty eyelashes fluttered gently. What are you confused about? Zhang Yi narrowed his eyes and thought of many things. In the past, we always believed that the source of the power of the entire universe came from ether. However, the discovery of the centipede proves that they can convert the energy of matter into supernatural powers. And we've discovered so many underground civilizations, and they occupy a large amount of energy and matter. But the total amount of ether fragments in the entire universe doesn't seem to have increased much. And we can use this biological factory to cheat and obtain more ether fragments. Or perhaps, besides the ether, there are other forms of power? Today, Zhang Yi's centipede farm is still in operation. Every day, frogs have to put in a large amount of yuanshi, or to feed those fat centipedes. They grow extremely fast, and except for being unable to break through the boundaries of Epsilon, there are almost no bottlenecks. As long as they keep eating, they can successfully grow to the level of 9,999 points of supernatural power index. Then it was harvested and collected, turned into a bottle of energy, and used to improve the strength of Zhang Yi and others. Zhang Yi looked at Zhou Ke and said, I think if we can figure this out, we might be able to become stronger faster. We won't be able to survive like we are now, relying solely on plundering and killing each other. Zhou Ke suddenly realized, are you planning to develop new energy? How easy is that? Zhang Yi sighed deeply. Over the past 4.6 billion years, those ancient civilizations must have tried various methods to become stronger. But in the end, they all resorted to hunting each other for ether fragments. Take the centipedes, for example. Their growth is limited. Without the source of God or the spirit of sacrifice, they cannot break through the boundaries of Epsilon. It's just that they seem like a bug. I have a hunch that if my discovery is correct, once we find the answer to this question, perhaps we can escape the fate of being controlled by the Creator and trapped in an endless cycle of reincarnation. Zhou Ke was amazed at Zhang Yi's imagination. Her beautiful eyes widened, and then she gently leaned her head on Zhang Yi's shoulder. Zhang Yi, you really are a genius. Zhang Yi shrugged and said with a smile, I always have. The road is long and arduous, but I will search for it up and down. Zhang Yi only had a guess but had no way to confirm it, so for now he had to focus on improving his strength. In the following period of time, the entire Huaxiu kingdom was growing at a terrifying speed. The 6 major regions have received huge improvements in resources, technology, and the quality of aliens allocated by Zhang Yi, especially in Tianhai City. Zhang Yi brought his men back to his hometown of Tianhai City. Although it had become a ruin again, it was very simple to rebuild. Because there is almost no need for manpower, those engineering mechanical life forms can quickly create bricks, concrete, and bulletproof glass using existing materials. Pick up materials from the ruins, and cast steel bars. The new Tianhai City has sprung up for the nth time, becoming larger and more prosperous than before. The Fueying troops trained by Bailey Chongqing suffered 32 deaths after going through the war. The death rate was not low, but those who survived had also grown tremendously and developed a resolute and murderous temperament. Zhang Yi had no shortage of resources, so he immediately arranged for the centipede's energy to grow. Before long, the Fueying force will be able to grow into a group of experts with an ability index of more than 9,000 points. On Yang Xinxin's side, she quickly contacted the top management of the 6 districts. What? Chaos wants us to publicize his achievements to everyone in the region every day. What is he trying to do? Make him into a god. And the target image isn't him, but a suit of armor? What's the point of doing this? Senior officials from the 6 districts expressed their incomprehension. However, in the southwest region, the Undertaker had some understanding after hearing the news. Juegua and Luozhua agreed directly. We will place the image of His Excellency Hunden's armor directly in the Jiakang Temple and worship it together with the gods and Buddhas. It is indeed surprising that the leader of Tantric Buddhism can have such enlightenment. But in the eyes of the 2 brothers, what Zhang Yi did was no different from that of Buddha. It was only natural for him to enjoy the offerings from his followers. In Shengjing, when the news reached Ho Tu, she murmured doubtfully, "Is Hun done planning to gather the willpower of the world and grow stronger through faith? Has he changed his mind?" Yang Xinxin's answer to them was very simple. You just need to do as I ask. It won't do you any harm. Nowadays, Zhang Yi's strength is the best in the entire Huaxu kingdom. Looking at the entire human world, it may be unique. His request was not excessive at all. Naturally, the people from the 6 districts would not make things difficult for Zhang Yi over such a small matter. Soon, every day, in the news channels opened in the 6 major districts of Huaxu Kingdom to reassure the people, they would emphasize everything Zhang Yi had done for the people of Huaxu Kingdom and firmly engrave the image of him in demon armor in the hearts of every Huaxu person. At night, the sky is always so dead silent, with only mottled and broken stars. Under the sky covered by thick dark clouds, tall and black trees that looked like dead trees grew in the forest. There are no leaves, only the trunk and the treetop, just like a stick figure drawing, and even the wind can hardly make it sway. Huge trees grew on huge mountains, and even the mountains were a despairing black. The mountains stand tall between cliffs, connected only by some shaky-looking stone bridges. But in this seemingly uninhabited area, bursts of beautiful music were heard. Melodious and graceful, like the sound of nature. The sound came from a withered jungle. A girl dressed in a pure white dress sat on a rock. She closed her eyes, quietly listening to the beautiful music with an intoxicated smile on her face. The person playing the music was sitting opposite her. Huge, dark and twisted, it was a strange creature whose appearance could only be described in the abstract, as if it was shrouded in a layer of black mist. But you can see his huge, ferocious claws and the cold, hard bones extending from his twisted head. The huge monster sat opposite the girl, holding a long, oddly shaped musical instrument in its hand. It was somewhat similar to the flute in the human world, but it had fewer holes and looked more crude, as if it was polished by hand. But even with such a simple instrument, the music it produces is no less than that of an experienced musician. Under this dark and lonely sky, the cool evening breeze brings a sense of tranquility and remoteness. The girl in white was listening to the monster's music, forgetting herself, and happily swaying her feet to the beat. The combination of beauty and the beast is full of weirdness and absurdity, because no matter who looks at her, they will feel that the girl is extremely weak and may be captured by the huge black monster at any time. The monster's huge, long mouth could chew the girl into pieces and swallow her into its stomach in an instant. The monster on the opposite side was particularly docile. After playing the music, it made a pleasant and low sound from its mouth. Meteor, let's keep going. As long as we enter the dark sun forest and find the Witch of Night, we'll have a chance to heal your eyes. Then you'll be able to see the world clearly. The girl Shun Liuxing immediately became happy. Really? That's great, Fengu. That way I can see your face clearly. The girl jumped up from the stone and wanted to walk over and touch Fingu's face. Fingu hurriedly took 2 steps back and said nervously, "No, I'm not good-looking. Maybe you'll be scared after seeing me." Shan Liuxing said, "It doesn't matter. No matter what you look like, I won't hate you. Because from your music, I can hear how pure your soul is." The monster lowered his head, ashamed of the girl's words. "It is not pure at all, but rather cruel and ugly, the most filthy existence in the world." Just as the two were talking, a bright light suddenly appeared in the distance. The darkness of the whole world was illuminated in an instant. At the end of the distant mountains, a dazzling silver light slowly emerged, flowing from the distance like mercury. The entire valley became brighter, and the looming dark fog was slowly suppressed. The monster's expression suddenly changed. "Oh no, those damn holy silver knights are chasing us." Beyond the mountains, on the vast plains of the earth, a group of silver knights emerged in a mighty force. They were clad in silver armor that was so perfect that it looked like a work of art, covering their entire bodies. Holding various weapons in his hands, he looked forward with a fierce look. Everyone stopped and waited quietly for orders from the extremely beautiful female knight standing in the front. She was a woman so exquisite that she looked like she had been carved by the most skilled sculptor. Her body proportions were exactly the same as those of a human. If there was any difference between her and human, it was only that her body proportions had reached a perfection that humans could not achieve. It is for this reason that it will become the standard for the creator to shape new humans in the future. He was wearing armor made of silver, had a delicate face the size of a palm, a pair of sharp amber eyes, and long silver hair that fell from the back of his head to his legs. The Ihan clan, the Huiwa Empire, the 7th Guardian General of July 7, cherishes the passing years. This is a perfect female warrior of the Ihan tribe. Her extraordinariness can be seen from her appearance alone. If Zhang Yi appeared here, her identity would be recognized at the first sight, because there is a Ling-like feeling on her face. Xie Liunian stood at the edge of the mountains, looking at the huge and strange mountain range in front of him. The peaks were completely soaked in black, like sharp spikes, like twisted weirdness, immersed in endless black fog. There seemed to be no expression on her face, but her eyes were as sharp as a sword. "Ink Shadow Warrior, return the meteorite. I can forgive your death." Xie Liunian stretched out his left hand forward, as if asking for something that belonged to him. When Shan Liuxing heard Xie Liunian's voice, a bright smile appeared on his face. "It's Sister Xie Liunian." She said this as if wanting to go over. But Fingu protected him from behind. "Don't go over there, Liuxing. She wants your life." Shan Liuxing's innocent look made him feel particularly distressed. Xie Liunian simply said calmly, "Transforming into a spark of fire is her destiny. Ink Shadow Warrior, your Dark Moon Empire priests have reached an agreement with us. By doing this, are you hoping to be hunted down by both of our empires at the same time?" A strange laugh came out of Fingu's mouth. He transformed into a flame. Her destination, what a high-sounding statement. There's no reason for her to sacrifice herself for you. Xie Liunian, this isn't the Huiwa Empire, but the Lost Forest. Come in if you have the guts. Xie Liunian seemed to be irritated by this sentence. Her face was still cold and expressionless, but with a clang, she pulled out the long sword from her waist. The sacred moonlight rose as she raised her sword high and descended as she slashed it down. Boom! Endless divine light gushed out from the long sword and rushed directly into the dark and strange forest across a long distance. Fingu's huge body stretched out, and facing General July's sword attack, it opened its ferocious mouth. Its body was also growing bigger, but it was not expanding. Instead, a layer of ink-like shadow emanated from its body surface. Dear viewers, thanks for staying with me. We'll try to get you more updates. Please like and subscribe and share the video with your friends. Love you all.